All right. Hey guys. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully you can see me. Um ugh, what a what a day. Let me make sure that everybody can see me and stuff. So I'll give it a couple minutes before I start talking to you guys about everything that's going on. Um I don't even know how to feel at this point, to be honest with you, about the whole situation. But we'll get into that. I just want to make sure at least my mod is here. Wildcat, are you in the chat? Oh, Gabby's on. Hey, Gabby. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you, Gabby, for joining me. I'm literally so glad. Thank you. I definitely need some support right now. So thank you for coming on. So today I am going to be talking about the Gabby Petito situation, the case, from the perspective of somebody who is a travel vlogger, who feels like they're kind of in a very similar life point as Gabby was. So it's just it's horrifying. It's so sad. So let me back up a little bit. Welcome. I'm Natty Rocke. If you're new here, this is my channel. People on here, you guys are my rock stars. And I am somebody who loves to film content, especially travel vlogging. I love, love, love travel vlogging. I actually just went on a big cross-country road trip in July, from Connecticut to Miami and back with a couple of my friends. So this whole situation really, really hits home for me. I actually was starting to edit some of the footage, and this week I was supposed to post a summer recap video, which was going to include my road trip in it. And to be quite honest with you guys, I don't feel right doing that. I feel so weird posting travel stuff right now with everything that's happened with Gabby. Like, it really does hit home for me. Um, so I just wanted to come on and talk about it with you guys. It is so astounding that they recently found what has yet to be officially identified as her body. It's They're thinking it is. They have to do the official forensics on it. But it's just heartbreaking to me to see everything. I am literally, I'm sure as you are if you're watching this, I am glued. I am glued to the entire story. I'm glued to every second of it, every update, every moment that somebody said that they've seen something, now to the point of, the FBI have raided Brian's parents' house. That's just crazy to me. Um, One of my friends, Santiago, just like popped on. Are you gonna go to Twitch? Um, Maybe in a little bit. I'll talk about it again. I don't know. But I just felt like YouTube was the place because Gabby was starting to be a YouTuber. She just put her first YouTube video up. This is what she really wanted to do. So I felt like this was the space that made sense to post about this on. And like, to me, it affected me as a YouTuber, as somebody who loves this platform, as somebody who wants to be a full-time YouTuber one day, and as Gabby obviously wanted to be. So this just felt like the right place. I do want to go back onto Twitch soon though, but welcome. Thank you for joining us. Um, so yeah, I just want to talk about how the travel community is faring. I really want to see what people are thinking, what people are saying. If you're somebody, you don't necessarily have to be a content creator, to be part of this community, if you're just somebody who loves to be on YouTube, and I feel like that will still hit home for you. Um, but it's really flabbergasting, and it makes me have like pause, and it makes me really sad, and I just really hope that we get the truth, like what actually happened to Gabby. What is the truth of the matter? No matter how ugly it is for anybody, like I think that Gabby deserves the truth to be out there. Her parents deserve the truth to be out there. And I think everybody who has been watching, who's been praying, who's been helping, deserves the truth. And things are escalating very quickly. I do hope that they figure out where the heck, what hole in the earth Brian has crawled into, because this family deserves answers. Like, he can't just escape to the wilderness somewhere. He obviously knows something. I'm not gonna jump to any conclusions. I don't know about you guys, but I'm so sick of speculating at this point. I'm so sick of speculating what happened. Anything could have happened. Anything could have happened. Could have been something really evil, or it could have been a simple accident. Nobody will know until Brian crawls out of the hole he's hiding in and talks to us. Um, Santiago says, "What's happening though?" Okay, so in case you haven't heard about the Gabby Petito case, Gabby Petito was is I'm gonna say is for now because we don't have full confirmation, but everybody's pretty certain that it was her body that was found. Gabby Petito is/was a 22-year-old female who was on a cross-country road trip with her fiance. They had been driving from Florida and went out west, and they were out all over Utah, all over the place, and they were posting, and she was very, very into becoming a travel vlogger, blogger, influencer, had a website that she was making all on her own. She started posting on YouTube. She had one YouTube video post that she was posting on Instagram, and that was her dream. She quit her job and wanted to be a travel vlogger traveling across the country. Her and her fiance were out in Utah, and that was kind of where they were last seen. Um, and then the timeline gets fuzzy. Like, there is consistent posting from Gabby all over Utah, posting pictures. Every couple of days, she's talking to her family, she's FaceTiming with them, and then all of a sudden, it's kind of radio silence. There is nothing being posted online, which is obviously not typical for her because that's her dream. Um, the last thing that her parents see is a supposed text from supposedly Gabby saying that they were on the way to um, Yellowstone, I want to say, and that wasn't accurate because, or saying that they were in Yellowstone, and that I don't remember if it was Yellowstone or Yosemite, because there was a mix-up on the text. They were supposed to be in one of them, and the text said that they were at the other that was like 1,000 miles away, and that there was no signal there. So they think that that text was not actually Gabby texting, and she's been missing. They haven't seen her for 3 weeks. Her family hasn't heard from her. As soon as the family started questioning, the fiance dipped. The fiance's parents would not answer anything. Her parents were contacting the police in their area to report her missing, and that's where the story goes. Um, her and her fiance did have a fight. They were last seen in Grand Teton National Park. And before that, they were seen officially by police in Moab, Utah, outside of Arches, because there was a domestic dispute. There is an hour and 17-minute body cam footage that I watched the entire thing today, where they talk about what happened. In the video, Gabby admits to having stricken her fiance Brian across the face in the parking lot because she wanted him to stop telling her to calm down. There was a dispute over the van that they had been staying in because they're doing van life. Um, and being allowed in or out. Gabby officially owned the van, and her fiance had locked her out. And she also ended up saying at one point that she was scared that she was going to be left behind. Um, so that was the last thing that happened. Also, when the cops pulled them over, Gabby ends up admitting that she had hit Brian, like punched him in the arm and said, like, essentially, "Oh, you're an idiot for getting us pulled over." Um, so there's a lot of stuff there that was happening behind the scenes that was not the picture perfect thing that was going on online. Um, which, and there was a lot of, and the reason I also titled this as like a mental health talk is because there is a lot of discussion about mental health that I think is starting to happen because of this body cam footage that was released. Because in the body cam footage, they both admit to having, or excuse me, Brian admits that they both have anxiety, and Gabby says that she has OCD. Um, and so like there is this mental health aspect that I hope people are starting to talk about, that if you're going to be doing something like going cross country, that's a huge toll, and it's something that the travel community needs to talk about, is that van life, even though it looks beautiful online, is not reality, and can be incredibly miserable and can take a huge toll on your mental health. And I've seen some people starting to talk about it and be honest about it, and that makes me really happy, because no travel is easy. No travel is going to be stress free, and it will always test your mental health no matter how easy your travel is going to be. So I hope that people talk about that more. So there's a lot of context that leads up to this moment, and as of right now, Gabby, her presumed body has been found in Grand Teton National Park, which was the last place they were seen. Her fiance at one point left the trip for a week with Gabby's van to go back to Florida, left Gabby behind, and then went back. Like there's this weird timeline of a week of him being gone. And she was petrified in the video of being left behind. So there's just so many questions as to what happened. And at this point, um, her not her parents, his parents, Brian, the fiance's parents, were not really cooperating. They started to a little bit with the FBI. Um, Immediately, as soon as Brian got back, he had attorneys on retainer. I don't even know if she had been officially even um put in as missing when he did that. I'm not sure. And he got the hell out of Dodge. And his parents told the police that he was hiding, or that the last place he said he was going to be at was this nature preserve. So the police have been going and combing through every single square inch of that nature preserve to try and find him. But it's been very difficult. They've had no luck so far. And like I said earlier, the FBI actually went in and raided his parents' house to find any kind of clues, evidence as to where he might be, and I'm sure whatever else they might need to be looking for. But so it's such like a difficult thing to watch, because again, he needs to crawl out of whatever the heck hole he put himself in and tell the truth. It's not like him leaving isn't okay, and like I can understand that no matter what, you know, he's probably terrified, and I get that, and I know that a lot of people, no matter if they're guilty or innocent, would have run for a lot of different reasons. A lot of people's first instinct is to run. That's why there's fight or flight. But he's been gone for a while now, and he's had time to think about it, and he should return, and he should tell the truth as to what happened. Um, you know, and it's just heartbreaking. I don't know about you guys, like how much you guys are keeping up with it. Um, Santiago, like I hope that recap helped. Let me know if that all made sense. But in essence, it is a travel vlogger who was out with her fiance cross country, and all of a sudden she went missing. And now might have found her body in a national park. So that's the summary of that. So it's something that to me is like really jarring as someone who wants to be a full-time YouTuber, as someone who has dreamed for many, many years of getting in my car and living out of it and driving cross country, and seeing, this beautiful nation that I live in, we live in if you live in the US. It's really jarring because that's my dream. Like I wanted to do it solo. Um, but it's really jarring that that is happening. And especially now in the midst of like me, I was gonna put this, beautiful collage together of my summer, and I wanted to put all this stuff together from my road trip across the US, and like it was just so weird to me, and like I felt like I could not put another travel video out. I don't know if that sounds weird, but I just did not feel right putting any more travel videos out without talking about this because it just doesn't feel right. Like this is something that and one of my friends talked about it, like and that's when it really hit me that I needed to talk about it is I was talking to my friend Marissa, who you'll see in at some point if I feel like okay about posting my USA travel stuff. But she's also does a lot of travel content. Like that's her whole thing is mainly on Instagram, and now she's moving over to YouTube a little bit. And she was like, she was one of us. She's one of us. And I was like, yeah, like that you hit the nail on the head as to like why this feels so terrible. And I'm not the kind of person who's like on top of the news at all. I don't even have cable in my house. Like it's just not me. But I've literally been glued to my phone about this whole thing. Um, Wildcat says, have they confirmed that it's her yet? As last I saw before I got on here, they haven't officially confirmed. They said that it is somebody matching her description. Um, I can't imagine what state her like that body may or may not be in because she's been missing for 3 weeks. So if it is her, it's not gonna necessarily be pretty, and they do have to do the DNA testing. Even if it looks identical to her, they still have to do the DNA testing. So hopefully we get those results back soon. I don't know how long that's gonna take. And I want to make a comment really quick um, for the law enforcement and for people watching. If you are involved in this case, like involved in watching this case and following everything, and you really want to see, a lot of people are saying we want justice for Gabby. Please give law enforcement time. Do not expect everything to be rushed. We need to keep up, and we need to keep saying her name, and we need to keep her memory alive, and everything, behind her, and show love and support to her parents. But please don't like I know that people are rushing the law enforcement, and that's when things get sloppy, and that's when people who shouldn't be in trouble get in trouble for something that they didn't necessarily do. And we've seen this so much, guys. We've seen this so much. And I'm not saying like anybody in this case is not necessarily guilty. I'm just saying let the police have their time to investigate and really find out what happened, because again, the family and Gabby and everybody deserves to hear the real truth, the actual real factual truth. And again, that's why I don't want to speculate anymore, because it's like I want to know what happened. Like anything that I've said before when because I've had conversations with my friends who were travel vloggers and other friends who just keep up with YouTube a lot in general. And it's like, what are the facts? What was said? What was the facts of the body cam? What was the facts of the police are saying? What are the facts of what's on video? Like I want to see the facts. I want to see the proof. I want to see the evidence. I want the real truth, and I want, I want Gabby to have real, truthful justice, not, not a rushed trial because it's a big name in the news. She deserves that. Santiago says, yeah, I think I saw the case on TikTok. Yeah, people are really, 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 really blowing up this case. And I'm glad, there's so many people who don't, who because they don't have this media storm behind them are, never solved. And so I'm very, very glad and happy that Gabby has this massive push behind her, not only to find her, but to find out the truth and to get justice for her, because no matter what happened, she's something is wrong. Something went wrong. And for her to not be communicating with her family for 3 weeks is not normal for her. For her not to be posting on online for 3 weeks is not normal for her. So, either that body that they found is hers or something else happened to her. Or, maybe her fear and somebody I saw online say this and I was like, wow, that was such a good observation. Maybe her fear was realized that she was left behind. Um, you know, who knows? I'm gonna 1 second. I wanna see if there's any updates. Let me see if anybody has any more info that I haven't seen. Um if you guys have heard anything else that I haven't talked about, like I said, please let me know. Um no, the last thing that was said is that it was consistent with her description. Um and everybody's like it was consistent with the description, believed to be found. So that happened last night that they found her body, and today was the day that they entered her fiance's parents' home, which is, I didn't mention this before, but her fiance's parents' home is where her and her fiance Brian have been living. There's also a question as to whether or not they actually were still engaged. Um, because supposedly the engagement was called off right before they went on the trip, so there was already something there going on. Um, but there's just so much that we obviously don't know. But then at the same time, I think this is also why. And I was watching something today, and it was really interesting because I think it was a good observation that this is a case that we have the most footage of the people in the person in question and the missing person that we've ever had, because these were people who were you know or at least Gabby was trying to be a a creator, a content creator, an influencer, a YouTuber, a vlogger, a blogger. Everybody's using a different word for it, but she wanted to be online and she wanted to make her money online creating content. And so we have the most of everything that we've ever had, and I think that's something that's also really um, draws people in, because we have everything. Like somebody said, it was like, we have his voice, we have his mannerisms, we have his face in every angle. We know what he looks like, we know what he sounds like, we know how he talks and how he moves. And I think that's something that's really draws people in. Um, Anthony says he killed that beautiful young lady. I think that's what a lot of people are believing. Like I said, I don't want to speculate right now. Um, I have my thoughts, and I'm the kind of person that I want to leave that up to the court, if that makes sense. I want everything to be presented. And I'm not saying that you're wrong, Anthony. Um, I think that he needs to be hunted down and dragged out of the damn hole he like hit himself in, and he needs to tell the damn truth. Um, but this whole situation is so fucked up, and I can't even imagine. What have you been seeing, Anthony? Um, what have you seen any updates or anything else that I maybe talked about that I missed? Or I'm sorry, that I maybe hadn't talked about that I might have missed. Because if you've seen some other stuff, I would love to know. And what other thoughts you might have. And if any of you guys watching right now have any more thoughts, feelings, opinions, um, I'm not gonna shoot you down. If you want to say that Brian, you know, unalived her, if you want to speculate in the comments, that's totally fine. I just don't feel right speculating, because it's like it feels I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. It like I don't know. I think the older that I get, the more I am in, no matter what, like what topic or what issue. I want to see all the evidence. I want to see all the proof. I want to see the truth before I make a judgment. And there are so many things that we obviously don't know and we haven't seen. Um, so it's I don't know about y'all, but it's killing me, and it's you know it's awful because it's like this could have been anybody, and like I think nowadays, people have always said like the American dream is to, the white picket fence and the two and a half kids and blah 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 blah. But I feel like the new American dream is like being a vlogger or being, an internet personality and traveling the country and van life. Van life is a huge thing that so many people want. And her beauty is also part of it. Her beauty is something that people want, is alluring and is going to draw people into. Bobby says, I appreciate your non-speculative talk. A devil's advocate would say, for all we know, she took her life and made it seem like it was his fault and he panicked. Regardless, the truth should come out. And the kid should face justice one way or another. I completely agree. And I think like I've been seeing stuff online already where it's like again, I watched the entire body cam, hour and 17 minutes. I listened to all of it. I watched all of it. And people have already been twisting that around. Like I watched all of it and I saw people being like, well, he hit her. Well, no, like nobody ever said that in the body cam. There is no proof that that happened. She admitted to slapping him across the face. She admitted to punching him on the arm. And none of that is okay. She shouldn't have done that. Does that mean that she deserves to die? No, obviously not. But please, like I beg of you, if you are somebody who's posting online about this, do not twist things around. If you're gonna say something, say it in context. If you're gonna say something, post the proof. I've seen people turn stuff around already. And I don't want to speculate. I want the proof. I want the truth. It's not fair to anybody. And justice should prevail. And he does need to face the facts. Brian needs to pop out of wherever the hell he is and tell everybody the truth. Him running away, is interfering with an investigation, and he's probably going to have penalties for that. It's that you can't do that. You can't just run away when there is an investigation ongoing. And he knew that she was missing. So he needs to face the music on that. 100%. I completely agree with you, Bobby. And thank you so much for understanding. I know that a lot of people want to speculate, and I know that it's very easy to dive headfirst into the speculation. And for some people it's entertainment. You know, everybody loves true crime, and I get it. But I think that we need to look at all of the evidence. Gino says, a wave. Hello, welcome to the stream. If you have any opinions, thoughts, feelings, I'd love to hear about it, or anything that you've heard that maybe I haven't covered yet, and I just haven't seen the new coverage. Okay, I didn't see that. Thank you so much, Bobby. Bobby says the person who called 911 leading to the body cam footage says he was physically assaulting her. The phone call conversation was released a few hours ago. Okay, I haven't seen that yet. So if that's the case, then I really appreciate that. And again, this is the thing though, like I said before, people were posting this with no context. So if they would have posted it and been like, it was in the night, like they were just like, he physically assaulted her. And I'm like, but where though? Where is the proof? Where did you see that? Where did this come from? Where did you like, you know what I mean? Like if there's no link in bio, there was no like, it was just the simple image. And then I don't think they even had a description. I think it was just like, oh, he's terrible. So if they would have simply said, he was seen physically assaulting her, the person who called 911 said so, That's a huge difference. That is a huge difference. You know what I'm saying? So thank you so much, Bobby. Let me see if I can find that so we can listen to that together. Um, Especially if it's a 911 call. It's not going to be very long. Um, let's see if I can find it. Do you know who released that 911 call or what it might have been titled under? Because I see a lot of stuff here, but okay. Here we go. Okay.
Grant County Sheriff's Office. Were you able to get a description of the investigation? Hi, can you hear me, sir? Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you guys hear that? Can you guys tell me if you can hear that before I finish? I keep playing it. Does that sound clear?
Grant County Sheriff's Office. Were you able to get a description of the investigation? Hi, can you hear me, sir? Yeah, I can hear you.
It's really loud, so hopefully
Hi,
you can hear it.
I'm calling. I'm right on the corner of Main Street by Moonflower, and we're driving by, and I'd like to report a domestic dispute. Florida with the white van, Florida license plate, white land, gentleman of 5'6" beard. They just drove off. They're going down Main Street. They made a right onto Main Street from Moonflower. Or what were they doing? Cooperative, but what do you say? What were they doing? We drove by, and the gentleman was slapping the girl. He was slapping her? Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car.
Oh my God, thank you, Daniel, for that information.
You said it's a white van?
Let's listen to this 911 call.
I give you the license plate. Just give me 1 second.
And we'll talk about that.
What kind of white van? Like a big one? It was a smaller van with the license plate of, it was white, Florida license plate QFC G03. It was, the make was a Ford, model was Transit, black ladder on the passenger side. The black ladder, passenger side. White Ford Transit. White Ford Transit.
Ooh, thank you, Daniel.
What's your name? And where did so they turned, they headed south on Main Street from Moonflower Market? Correct. They made the right turn. Oh, so they went north. North. Yeah, sorry, I'm not from around here. Okay, so you're right there by the post office? Right across the street, yep. Okay, and when they turned onto Main Street, they went right or left? Right. Right, so they went north. North on Main. All right, I will let somebody know. Thank you. Yeah, no worries. Bye. Thanks.
All right, that was the entire 911 call. So thank you. I really appreciate that, Bobby. That gives me a lot of context. And again, obviously this was an issue. They both, I mean, he never admits to it. She never says it when they're in the thing. She admits to hitting him multiple times. So obviously they both engaged in this, and that's not okay. So there's something here behind the scenes that we're not seeing. And this is obviously the tip of the iceberg because, you don't go from, a great relationship where none of this stuff happens to all of a sudden in the dang street, people are seeing you hitting each other and admitting to hitting each other to the point of crashing into a barricade. The wheels were turning for that man, I think, and that's why he knew not to admit to what he did. And that's why he was so quick to say he didn't want to press charges, because he knew he was involved too and he wasn't saying it. So there's a lot back here. That's a lot that we're not seeing. And this is, again, why I don't want to speculate. But so let me go into what Daniel is saying. And again, thank you so much, Bobby, for adding to the conversation. And thank you so much, Daniel. I really appreciate anybody who's adding to this conversation, any new information, or anything at all. Thank you guys for joining me. Daniel says FBI confirms they have retrieved Brian's cell phone from his Mustang. So where did you know where they retrieved his vehicle from? Because last I was watching, they were raiding his parents' house, and his parents did tell them that they had retrieved the Mustang at some point on Tuesday. They didn't say from where. It seems like it would be from the preserve. Like the parents themselves retrieved that Mustang. So I would like to know where that Mustang's been. Has it been in police custody? I would imagine not if they just found the cell phone. Daniel says, oh, it's so funny. Daniel says, right? Um, they said there are signs of deleted messages and calls. That's very, not a good sign. Um, but hopefully they get the warrant to go ahead and pull the phone records, because that's very easy to retrieve. Those, I mean, we've seen it in a ton of cases. If you see anything about true crime, there's so many cases where they are able to pull any kind of texts and phone records from the actual carrier themselves, whether that be T-Mobile, AT&T, whatever. There's so many. Chino says, as soon as he answers the call, the policeman lacks more desire. I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you mean the 911 call, the guy is kind of like blah, like if that's what you mean. I'm guessing. Yeah, I mean, he's very monotone in the call, but I think that's part of the training. They can't get excitable. They need to get people calm. So I don't blame them, the responder, for I think they were just being calm and making sure that they can keep the situation calm. It's a big part of being a responder. You can't get all, concerned for the person. You have to stay very level, So Daniel is citing, which, let me see. I'm going to look this up. So thank you, Daniel. Just one second. Oh, wait a minute. They found a note on his car. It says, the family of Brian Landry, who vanished as authorities hunted for his girlfriend, Gabby, found a note left on his car in Florida. Police left the notice on his Mustang, which his family found Wednesday parked near the Carlton Reserve in Sarasota County. The note had asked for the car to be removed, but the family left the vehicle there until Thursday, hoping he'd return to it. Let's see. I don't see anything about his phone. If you can send me the link of where you found that quotation, I'd really appreciate it. It's crazy. People are saying they have hundreds of tips on Gabby. I don't know if you guys saw while I'm looking for this. There was actually another. It was so crazy. Oh, thank you, Daniel. Chad. Haha, McChatterson. Okay. So obviously fake. So funny. So funny. Yeah, I didn't see that other part. Thank you, Bobby. Bobby says, nice troll, where's my so funny. So funny. Oh, you know, this is so fucked up that there's gonna be people like Daniel who are gonna be assholes when somebody probably lost their fucking life. So fuck you, Daniel. You're such a dick. Like, you're sad. But thanks, Bobby, for sticking around and calling out the trolls. Fuck that guy. Um, so we're gonna put you in timeout, Daniel. Bye. Um, yeah. So and like, it's so fucked up because you see every side of the spectrum with this case and with cases like this all the time. Like Bobby said, it's like you're gonna see people who are gonna say really fucked up shit, and like somebody probably lost their life and people act like this. And it's like, if this was your sister, your mother, would you be acting like this? Would you not give a fuck like this? If it was somebody you actually gave a shit about, would you act like this? It, it's so messed up. Like, and this is why Gabby needs justice. And again, I hate saying the word justice because I think justice has such a weird connotation nowadays. Gabby's story needs to be told truthfully. I'm going to say it like that. The truth of Gabby's story needs to come out. And whoever is responsible, if this is, ends up being a case where it was, in fact, murder, that person needs to be brought to light and put in jail for the rest of their life. Because you should not be able to get away with that. I guess like purposefully unalived is probably the more PG way of saying it, or the way that's more YouTube friendly. But if that's the case, then that person needs to go to jail. Bobby says the whole situation is terrible. 2 young lives lost for nonsense. Who knows if she was arrested that day, this whole scandal might have been avoided. That's so true. I mean, nobody ever knows. And I feel bad for those cops who stopped them because I don't want to know what's going through their head right now about the situation and that kind of speculation. And I know people are blaming the cops right now. And it's like not fair because they were trying their absolute very best to give these people the best opportunity that they could. And they were so gracious. This is like the most gracious I've ever seen, we've ever seen cops on footage. And, they really were trying to do the best by them. And it was obvious that, they didn't want to have these people stranded and stuck and not knowing what to do on the completely other side of the country where they had nobody and nothing, and it is terrible. The whole thing is absolute awful, and it's deeply saddening, it's um Brandito says the police stop took place nearly 3 weeks before her death. Gabby would have been detained for 24 hours at the absolute longest. Um, I need to find the timeline again. I don't remember that. Was that in the body cam footage, Brandito? That he referred to her as a golden flower, or was it somebody else? Um, but I think she's been missing for 3 weeks. Like she went missing shortly after. Like she went radio silence like a couple days after that happened, if I'm not mistaken on the timeline. Um, so I think what Bobby is saying though is that not necessarily that that would have been avoided point A to point B. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like, oh, well, necessarily the exact moment that if something did happen to her, if she was purposefully unalived, that moment she wouldn't have been with him and, you know, the person who did it and any of that stuff. Um, and I think that the difference here is that she and I think that yeah, Bobby says yes, but no doubt she would have contacted her parents from the multiverse expanses. It's true. It's very accurate. Um, she if she would have gotten arrested, maybe she, and it's again, it's all speculation. We don't like nothing can go back and change things, obviously. But there are so many the multiverse expands. That's a good way of putting it. There were infinite possibilities of how that could have ended differently based on that one change. Maybe she, sits in that prison for a night and, thinks about things and it's just like, I can't be with this person. I gotta go home. I gotta go back to my family in New York. I can't live in Florida anymore with him, or I can't do this trip anymore and I can't believe this is happening. And, you know, and she might have left alive, like speculating that that was her body that they found. There's there's so many possibilities. There's so many possibilities from one tiny shift. That's just how the world works. Aaron says the arrest would have generated a protective order for the victim of the incident for up to 90 days. Yes, that is true. But if Brian would have followed through with what he was saying, which was that, following the police's, he asked the police, what is it that I have to do to take the protective order off? What is it that I have to do to not make sure that the charges aren't pressed? I don't want this to happen. I want this taken off the record. And so based on what the police said, it was he and her would have to be separated overnight, and he would have to go to the cops the next day to their actual police station and fill out paperwork early in the morning saying that he did not want charges pressed, that he wanted everything removed, and that he did not want a protective order. So, could Brian have had a protective order um, from Gabby for up to 90 days? Yeah, but he, according to what he was saying in the body cam footage, he didn't want that. So that would have gone away overnight, essentially. Thank you for joining the conversation, Aaron. Bobby says, Gabby is beautiful. I honestly felt such a connection with her in seeing her pictures and videos. That might sound shallow, but honest, I believe one of the cops. Everybody is saying that the cop called her a golden flower, which is so strange. Let me see. That is so strange. I don't know. It's so strange. I feel like, was it that one moment when it's like the cops talking about what they're gonna do and he calls her that? I would love to find that moment because that's so strange. And it stinks because again, that body cam footage is an hour and 17 minutes long. Like we don't have time to, like there's no way we can sit through all of that. You know what I mean? Let's see. There's a moment towards the end. Oh god, that's so loud. I'm gonna see if it's this point. There is a point where they're talking back and forth. Oh, it's gonna be hard to find. Why is this just like a long time of him not saying anything? There was a point where the cops were just kind of talking to each other. I don't know where that's at. Um, but I feel like that might have been where they said it, but I don't know. It's kind of creepy though. Um, yeah, I think like a lot of people felt, again, like I was saying, her beauty. She was a very beautiful girl. Um, a lot of people were drawn to her beauty. Um, and so I think that's one of those things. And she does have a very specific kind of personality that kind of shines through in her videos, or her video, because it was just really one 8-minute video, that I think people would be drawn to, especially with how beautiful she is. And I feel weird. It's like I don't know what to say. She is, she was, I don't know. We don't know right now. So it's like this weird limbo. So I'm sorry if I go back and forth. It's like just a weird limbo, you know? This hat is like, I feel like Pharrell with this hat, but my hair has been, yeah, the whole thing is awful. The whole thing is awful. Um, Sorry, I just got a weird pain. I wish we had more information, but it's like, again, it's like, please, please give the police time to figure what the heck happened, and don't rush things, but keep talking about Gabby. Like we need to keep talking about her, you know. Also, thank you guys so much for the likes I've been getting. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys sticking around with me, especially I know Bobby's been around on here for like a while with me, so thank you. If you guys have been wanting to comment, please do. I love talking with you guys. And you guys can bet that I will continue to talk about this, especially as more stuff unfolds about the whole situation. So if you're interested in that, please stick around. Because I again, it's like, if you weren't here in the beginning, I'm somebody who does travel vlogging. I'm someone who aspires to do van life type things, to travel across the country in my car. It's something that I've been working towards, a huge goal of mine. And so it's like, it's, it's one of those things where it's like, it could have been me. I feel like for a lot of probably a lot of travel people. And one of us, she's one of us that is on the internet. I mean, how many of us are on the internet? The internet's our whole lives, and she's one of us. And it's like, it's so jarring. My friend really couldn't have put it better, who's also a travel creator. She's one of us, and I think it's accurate. It's gut wrenching, and it's jarring, but it draws you in. And it's like, I've always thought about, true crime is something that is, that I think draws a lot of people in, and I think we can all learn lessons from it, and I think it's so interesting and it's so important because, it could be us. I think that's why people are so drawn into true crime. But we'll continue to do this because I think that Gabby needs to be heard. Her story needs to be told. She needs to be heard. So thank you guys. Does anybody else have anything else that they want to add? Does anybody else have any other insight that I might be missing? There's so much. Also, there was like this weird thing that people were trying to link to the situation, but I think at this point it's kind of null and void. Oh, I will continue this train of thought before I move back for a second. But so some people were saying there was also a double unaliving in the Arches area, right around the same time. But supposedly, Gabby's presumed body was found in Grand Teton. So maybe it's connected, maybe it's not, but I think that the fact that Gabby's body was found in Grand Teton instead of Utah, like some people were thinking, kind of starts to put that Um, Again, it's like, oh, speculate. Ah, so much speculation. Bobby says, if Brian did go inside that park, trust me, no one could. Trust me, he could spend his life in there and no one will know. I live on the east coast of Florida and most of the land between the coasts is swampland. It's Everglades. Yes, thank you. Bobby, what is up, my fellow Floridian? This is another reason. It's funny because I have my Florida banner. This is another reason why I feel so connected to this case is because I'm from Florida. I'm from Miami. I grew up in Miami. I lived in Jacksonville and I was constantly going up and down the entire state of Florida and I love Florida and I live in Connecticut right now, which is not far from where Gabby grew up in New York. And I'm dying to go back to Florida. I love it here, but I do want to move back to Florida one day. So it's one of those things and Bobby puts up a great point. He could never be found again. Um, you know, and whether that be that he really and he seems to know what the heck he's doing when it comes to especially this nature preserve. He seems to know the terrain, he seems to know how to survive. And even if this was a situation where, he could go in there and never come out because he's not alive anymore, and they might never find his body because something will come eat it up. There are a million things that'll come eat it up, So it's like such a fucked up situation. And it leaves such a hole for everybody. But that it's so awful. It's so awful. Bobby says, I doubt it could be me, but emotional and physical abuse shouldn't be tolerated on either side. I 1,000% agree. And that's a big thing that I've been saying to people around me is that no matter what, it's not okay. And I think there's a lot of people who on either side think it's okay, or people who think that if a woman does it, it's not as bad because she's smaller or it's not a threat. And I don't think that's okay either. I don't think that her hitting him was okay. And I don't think him hitting her was okay. Now, if one of them was doing it back in self-defense, of course, you should defend yourself 1,000%. But there's obviously something else going down on there. And this is a really, really, really messy situation. Aaron says most dads would have approached Brian the first day before even calling the authorities. You have to remember that Brian was in Florida and her dad, which is actually the person who's been going on is her stepdad, which I'm assuming is probably her father figure. He was in New York. He was all the way on the other side of the country, essentially. So they were not in the same location at all. Once everything started happening, some people went to Florida from her family, and her dad went out to Utah and Grant Teton and stuff to go look for her himself. So you have to remember that, and you have to remember that Brian fucking dipped so fast. There was no way I don't think he even saw him at all. There was no way he was gonna find him. So I don't put anything. That man is a trooper and a half, and he's doing everything that he can for his family and for his daughter. And my heart goes out to him because that man must be going through so much pain, and so must his wife and everybody else in their family. So I don't blame at all. I don't even put a single ounce. I put blame on Ryan for ditching, for not coming out of his damn hole, and for skipping from everything and not telling the truth, not coming out and saying what he needs to say. And I put blame on whoever might have hurt her. That's it. I don't blame anybody else. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's right. Oh my lord. I don't know about y'all, but this is like awful. Awful. But like I said, it's something that I feel personally I'm the kind of person that when something like a big event, like I've had it before where like a big event that really emotionally impacted me, I wanted to come and talk to you guys about it. I know I've done it on Twitch, but now I'm gonna start doing it more on YouTube. Just because I think this is how we connect, and I think a lot of people are grieving, even though we've never known her in our lives, And I think it's touching a lot of people, and I think we need to talk about it. Oh, but so the other thing I was gonna say is that this also really, it's like so many weird little parallels, that you know it's like a weird connection for to from me to Gabby, that I think draws me in even more. Like I said, other than that what she was doing was kind of my dream, and we both had like in a sense very similar dreams. It and the fact that she was from similar areas from me and all this kind of stuff is like when a couple of years ago back in 2018, I stayed in Utah for a week. I was in Moab for most of that time, and Arches is a place that like significantly impacted me, um, and is some place that I love. I actually have I made that myself. This is a ceramic piece that I made myself of delicate arch with my scrapbook from my Utah trip. It's a huge trip that impacted me. That's I guess I should move over so you guys can see it a little bit better. But it's a big trip that really impacted me, and the way that I saw things, and it was a place that I've would love to move to. Is Utah. It was a place that I really thought considered living in. Um, And I remember, I remember going to Moonflower, and I remember walking in there, and I remember walking up and down the streets of Moab, and that's where everything really started. That's where the DV like call happened. And that was so weird for me. Like I remember all of that. Like I left a little piece of my heart in Moab. And it's so strange. Like I made this ceramic piece in Moab with my own two hands from literal scratch. I was on a ceramic strip with my university, and we literally found the clay in the ground and like harvested it ourselves and like prepared it ourselves, and we added the grog to it ourselves. We made the grog ourselves. We did everything from the very beginning. Like, and then we didn't just go to a kiln, like we made a huge fire and we cooked it in this huge fire. And it was such a special moment for me, um, really being one with like the earth and the nature and making this pottery. And so it's like it's really weird for me and it's really jarring to see this stuff. Um, one second. Wildcat just sent me something. Let me see what this is. What? So it looks like, yeah, I kind of heard something about this. So, I did hear something where they said that, okay, sorry. Let me back up so you guys all know what I'm talking about. Um, Wildcat, who's been somebody who's been in my life for a while now. We've known each other for over a year, I think, Wildcat. And is somebody that I've known since I started Twitch back in 2019. I want to say I started Twitch. Um, and he's been my mod for a really long time, and like I love having him on stream. I won't stream without him. um, but so he just sent me this Facebook post, and it's got a picture of Brian Laundrie, which is Gabby Petito's fiance, trying to get tips for the FBI. And Fox 10 Phoenix says police say there will be no, quote, major search on Monday at a Florida preserve for 23-year-old Brian Laundrie, the person of interest in the Gabby Petito case. The FBI announced Sunday that the human remains found near Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming match Gabby's description. So I did hear something before on the news that was like they've exhausted all resources when it comes to looking for him. But crazy, crazy stuff. I don't know why Bobby just said Zoomers. Okay. Um, um, but yeah, it's so. I'm gonna see if I can find any more confirmation that they're like. I imagine that they're not quitting the search, quitting the search. I think that they're just having to, retreat a little bit because I'm sure it's so much money. And they've been looking at it, and like Bobby said, it's like just like Bobby said, if Brian could go inside that park, trust me, he could spend his entire life in there and no one will know. It's very accurate. If you're from Florida, if you've lived in Florida, if you've visited Florida and know anything about the Everglades, you can get lost in there forever and they'll never find your body, even if you do end up not alive anymore. Um, the whole thing is so, um, yeah, this whole thing is so disappointing. Yeah, everybody's reporting right now. No major search, no major search. Um, Yeah, it says law enforcement spent the weekend searching the 25,000-acre Carlton Reserve in Sarasota County, but wrapped up Sunday evening with, quote, nothing to report. Yeah. Monday morning, a police spokesperson said there was no plans to return to the preserve. At this quote, at this time, we currently believe we have exhausted all avenues in searching of the grounds there. Law enforcement agencies continue to search for Brian Laundrie. I mean, maybe it was a decoy. Maybe it was a decoy that the parents sent them there. Who knows? Um, Bobby says they're taking at least today off, but I'm speculating that they want to talk to the parents and get their facts correct before they spend more resources on a search when he might not be there. I think that's a very valid, I think, point. And I hope that they do talk to the parents. I know that there was footage of them going into like a black SUV or a black van. Um, that would presumably be the FBI's. So hopefully they are talking to them and investigating. It's just such a wild case, and I don't know if anybody else. I think I saw somebody else say this, but um, it's in a weird way. Just go with me on this. In a weird way, reminds me of the Casey and Kaylee Anthony case, where this person is not being seen from in some time, the person responsible for them or the person who should, obviously different parent and child dynamic is different than spouses, but to an extent you are responsible for your spouse. It's like if you go on a trip with somebody, whether or not they're your spouse or not, you're responsible to make sure that other person comes home safe. So, there's this responsibility. Brian's seen leaving without her, left her behind. We don't know what happened, and this all this time of her obviously not being around and it not being reported by the person who in a way is responsible for her. And so I don't know, is anybody else getting that weird vibe? I think I saw somebody else saying that online too. But it just does really remind me of that whole scenario. Um, I'm not sure why Wildcat says, yeah, I can hear. I don't know what that was about. Hopefully my audio didn't cut out at any point. Chris says, has it been confirmed that Brian was seen in Alabama? I haven't heard anything about that. That would be pretty wild. But again, like he could literally be anywhere. I was talking to my friend about it earlier, my best friend, and I was like, Brian could literally be anywhere. He could be in the last place anybody would think to look because he wanted to get the hell out of Dodge. He could be in another country for all we know. He could have snuck into a different country while everybody else was looking the other way. He could literally be anywhere. I don't think so, because I think it would have come up when I've been like literally looking up stuff like this whole time. Brian Laundrie seen in Alabama. Oh shoot, that just came out. Thank you so much, Chris, for that tidbit. Yeah, it just came out. Brian Laundrie, Alabama police investigate possible sightings. Brian Laundrie possibly spotted in Alabama. Um, Gabby Petito case live report. Police returned to Laundrie house. Ooh, wait. They returned to his house. Hold on. I want to see this too. Okay. I know the whole story. Oh jeez. Okay, so in case anybody's wondering, her autopsy is set for tomorrow. What? They didn't say anything on here. They didn't say anything about looking at their house again. Oh, wait. Okay. 3 minutes ago, police in Northport, Florida returned to the Laundrie home shortly after they left with paperwork. Police and FBI came out with what appears to be their coolers and food boxes from lunch. I think they're officially gone now from inside the house. Bobby says if the lawyer had any brains, he would have told Brian indirectly to get the hell out of Dodge. Who knows? He could have grabbed a boat and be anywhere across the Caribbean or Central America. I was saying that earlier. I was literally saying that earlier. I literally was like, he could literally be anywhere. We don't know. He had all this time to do anything to prepare to get the heck out of Dodge. I was literally like, he could have built, like, I don't know. I'm Cuban, so like my first thought was like, he could have done a reverse of every Cuban and built a fucking raft and got the hell out of the U.S. Like he could have gotten his car and crossed the border into Mexico. He could literally be anywhere. That is so funny. I feel like me and Bobby are on the same wavelength a lot. So thank you for joining me, Bobby. I love this. Chris said his parents gave him a 3-day head start. I mean, if the timeline that he was gone for a week and then returned gave him a whole week, like of him being in Florida and then going back. Supposedly, there's this weird question about that. That gave him a whole week to make a plan. You know what I'm saying? So there are so many questions. There's so many variables. Again, the multiverse expands, like Bobby says. Anything is possible. There's so many options about what he might be doing right now. And you know, the sending the police into that preserve could have been a huge decoy to get him somewhere else. It's very true. There are a million possibilities as to what's going on right now, but we won't know until we get Brian. Like it's just that. Bobby says, though, just being a person of interest wouldn't have stopped him from catching a plane ticket and disappearing from there. So he's probably in a very dark mind frame right now, but around. Yeah, so to me, like, obviously he's a huge person of interest. His face is everywhere on the news. But I think that if he would have caught a plane, at least if he would have caught it, you know, early enough, he probably could have gone away with it. But if he caught it after a certain point, like after the investigation started and her name was everywhere, you know, people would have spotted him at you know, if he used his actual identification to get a plane somewhere, that would have been tracked down by this point. Now could he have had in that whole week time somehow found a way to falsify identification? Heck yeah. If he had the right connections, he could totally do that. Again, this is like where the true crime understanding of true crime comes in. There's so many endless possibilities of what this man could have done to get the hell out of Dodge. Um, but it's disappointing, that's for sure. And again, it's like if it is true that he's hiding that preserve somewhere or hiding somewhere in the Everglades, he could live there for a very long time and nobody would know. I mean, there's plenty of places to hide, there's plenty of things that he can do, and if he's experienced, he knows his way around, he could hide really, really, really well. Um, and if he had a whole week that potentially that this had already happened and he was back in Florida with nobody questioning anything, he could have set something up in that preserve. There's so many things that could have happened. Let me look more into the Alabama thing because there's only a couple people reporting on that right now. Um, that's so funny. Bobby says, "Viva Cuba Libre." Sidetrack question, but have you covered the Cuban protests? Um, I have not. Um, I, I, it's such a rabbit hole to get into the Cuba stuff because I will never shut up about that. And I just like part of me likes to distance a little bit just because it's so much and it's so emotionally draining. And I know that a lot of things in Cuba will never change. And it's really awful. So it's one of those things. I don't know. Maybe we can talk about it, Bobby. About me covering the Cuban protests. Who knows? Um, but maybe this will start being a thing for me that I start covering more current events and true crime because I think like it is a really good discussion that people um hopefully you guys have found this useful or entertaining at least watching me talk about all this. And maybe this has been a good outlet for you guys who are live chatting with me to get your feelings out about the situation. Um, because I know that I've been doing that a lot today. It's just been, messaging with one of my best friends and, like I said, my friend who's also a travel creator, and about the situation because it just hits so close to home. Um, yeah, it's the Cuban protests are very. That's a hard one. That's a hard one. Oh God. Um, I don't know. I would love to hear what you think about them. Um, Let me see. I just like I wish some more information would come out, but I don't think we're gonna hear much else today, to be honest. Um, do, do, do. Possible sighting in Alabama. Wow. Okay, so there's been different claims. So some people were saying that they thought they saw him in Alabama, and nearby where people were thought they saw him, that there was actually a body found of they say a home was discovered in a dumpster. Um, it was the body of a homeless person, but they ruled out any link to Brian Laundrie. Um, so there were several reports that people called in saying that he might have been at Tillerman's Corner in Alabama, in Mobile, and then some people. Oh, never mind. Oh, they were just saying like it was southwest of the city, that 600 miles from his home in Northport, Florida. Um, Bobby says you're doing a good job, a great job. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I would. I hope this has been helpful. I'm glad to hear it. it makes me feel a little better to be talking with you guys because it's something that's really been bogging me down. You know, it's hard. It's a hard thing. Um, but if we don't have any more updates right now, I think I'm gonna let me see. Let me before I make the call. Um, I'm going to see if there's anything else. Do, 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 do. Oh, weird. There's a apparently a geologist that went missing, I guess, in the area. Um, and so that's because of Gabby's disappearance. They're calling that whole issue is coming back into question as to what's up with him. I think a lot of cases are at least people are trying to link a lot of cases to this case. I'm not necessarily saying that that is accurate one way or the other. You know, as to whether or not that they are really linked. I'm not going to speculate on that. Um, okay, at 6:21 p.m., the FBI of Tampa division um, says that the search of the laundry residence in Northport has concluded. No further details since this is an ongoing investigation. And they said we continue to ask the public's assistance in the Gabby Petito investigation. Um, mm, mm, mm. Ooh, okay. Yeah, search warrant for computers found in couple's van highlights quote odd text Petito's family received. Um, uh, oh, okay. See, this is okay. I didn't see about this message. Oh my god. There's a whole message from that was really strange that they received from Gabby. Um, Bobby says, I think it sucks, but Cuba should be free for Cubans and eventually things will change one way or another. All regimes will somehow come to an end, though how many have to suffer under um, an oppressive and a tyrannical government is a shame, or how many more. But that I hope is a conversation for a different time. That's fair. Yeah, it's such a long conversation. Actually, a funny story that I will say for like 2 seconds is that I think the only 100 I'll say the only essay I ever got 100 on in college was an essay that I ended up talking about Cuba and the dictatorship that people don't want to call a dictatorship. But that's definitely a conversation for a different time. Um, but so on August 27th, Gabby's mom received a quote odd text from Gabby. Supposedly Gabby, it came from Gabby's phone. And the text message read, quote, can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls. The document reads. The document goes on to explain that referring to Stan, her grandfather, by name was unusual behavior for her. And that exchange led her mom to begin to have concerns for her well-being. So that's really interesting. And I know, like I said, there was a question of um, in from Gabby's phone, they were saying so, her parents were being texted that she was in I'm gonna find this, hold on. Because I want to have the full context for you guys. Oh, interesting. There's a whole article I haven't seen. Investigators have gained court permission to access the contents of an external hard drive they say was found in the van of 22-year-old Gabby, who disappeared. The search warrant confirms. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so I just said the weird Stan message. That phone was turned off the same day more than 2 weeks ago, the filing said. Where is the text message? Um, oh, okay. So, according to the court filing approving the warrant, the county clerk said that there was probable cause Petito was, quote, unable to care for herself due to her increased anxiety, end quote, which created exigent circumstances that would warrant the search. No confirmed sighting. Let me see. Gabby Petito, Yellowstone text. Let's see. Okay, so okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. The mother of Gabby Petito believes that the final text she received from her daughter claiming she was in Yosemite was a fake. She received a text message from her daughter on August 30th, which said, quote, no service in Yosemite. Miss Petito's last confirmed location was in Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming, 800 miles from California's Sierra Nevada mountains where Yosemite is located. So, yeah. She wouldn't reveal the contents of other messages she received from her daughter, but said it wouldn't seem like something Gabby would say. Quote, that text was not from Gabby. I know it. End quote. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so the couple was planning to head to Yellowstone, and somebody texted Yosemite. Which is weird. Like, why would you mess that up when you're at the actual place, you know? I know. Yeah, I hope that if that is if they did find her, which, you know, it's looking like it was her, I hope that she does rest in peace, and I hope that we can gain the truth, and that, you know, that her story is told truthfully for her. She deserves that. Her family deserves that. Um, so, yeah, I think that's probably everything that we're gonna find out for tonight. If we find out anything more tomorrow, then I'll probably come on stream again. I think that was a lot of information. I hope that that was helpful for everybody. Um, and hopefully, like I said, I hope that we can get the truth for her, so that she can rest in peace if she is not alive anymore. But thank you guys so much for joining me today. Thank you again, Bobby, for joining in the conversation. That was super, super helpful. Definitely message me on Instagram so that we can talk more, and you can send me some links because I think you got some stuff that I haven't gotten. My Instagram is the same as my YouTube name, and it's also linked in my about section if you're wanting to do that. But thank you guys again so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. If you guys are interested in following along the story with me, definitely join me, subscribe. I feel weird, like it. I'm not trying to like plug. It's like I want to continue doing this, and I want to have the people around who are obviously wanting to have the conversation. So that is why I'm not trying to be like it's. You know what I mean. You guys know what I mean. But thank you guys again for joining me, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.